Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my man Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got a 10-game slate on Friday night to close out this work week with you guys. We're taking a look at the Hawks struggling, super backsliding Hawks in Brooklyn against a team that's in the top 5 in the East, the Brooklyn Nets right now. We've also got another game video up for you and our player props, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we put up all of our great written content. Nate throws the picks on there, as well as our odds finder tool, which you can use to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all these bets you make in the NBA across these sports books. Nate, let's get into this slate and then talk Hawks and Nets.
Yeah, we open with Wiz +5 at the Pacers. Brad Beal's going to be out for that one. The Raptors are -8 at Orlando. We break that game down for you. Totals creeping up to 221. Still like the over if it hangs around there. The Knicks are -3 at the Hornets, who will be without LaMelo. Kings +5 at Cavs. De'Aaron Fox questionable there. The game we break down here, Atlanta +7.5 at Brooklyn. Total around 229. Lakers are +4.5 at Philly with AD expected to return. James Harden's back for the Sixers. Pistons +10 at Memphis. Suns -2 at Pelicans. Yes. Wolves +2 at Jazz. And then the Bucks are in a pick'em at Dallas. Look, I think for a second this total was up to 230, and I think people were not really understanding the way these teams are both trending, and that Atlanta's offense has hit the tank. And Jacques Vaughn's Brooklyn Nets are a defensive juggernaut. I mean, straight up one of the best defensive teams out there, and a lot of it just has to do with scheme more than who's out there. I mean, he's long been their defensive coordinator and one of the most respected defensive assistants out there, and they're on a 7-game homestand here. Last of the game, 5-1 to the under in those games, including one against Boston, which is their only loss on this homestand. They're winning games by 8.4 points per game and not covering. It's the same old Nets where they're going to pull out a win. They're going to have to do everything they can to get a win, and they're probably not going to cover. So I do not like this at -7.5. Sam, I do not like it creeping up anymore. I think this is prime territory for a teaser, though. I mean, where it was at 7.5 or 7, to get the Nets at -3 and to get that under higher, 232, maybe even 234 if you can get it at the right moment here. Because I think they will be able to limit Atlanta. You know, this is what we were on 2 nights ago when Atlanta was at the Knicks. And sure enough, they score 89 points. Certainly doesn't help that they lost DeJounte Murray in the first 4 minutes. And they haven't played a full game without him yet. But that's certainly the one thing I'm worried about is that it kind of frees Trae Young up to be the Trae Young of last season. And we get like a freewheeling game. But still no John Collins. DeAndre Hunter's questionable. Bogey is still shaking off the rust. He was 3 for 16, stepping up as the 1B option there for Trae in that last game. And Atlanta's offense on the road, just terrible. I mean, they're now dead even. They were kind of streaking more on the road versus at home. But now they're dead even in points. They're playing at a slower pace on the road by far. And Trae in his last 9 roadies, 105 offensive rating. His last 3 at the Nets, even when the Hawks were this fun run-and-gun team, 24 points per game, under 28% from 3. So, you know, they've been guarding him for a while. And then you look at the Nets defense at home, in particular, the entire season, not just when Jacques Vaughn took over. They're 3rd in paint points allowed. They're allowing the 4th lowest percentage of points off twos. They are allowing the 4th most free throws, but Atlanta, 29th in free throws, 29th in three-point percentage. They're just not going to beat you if you can deny their kind of floater game, their mid-range game. And, I mean, the last thing about the total here, I think you can take under before it starts, but you could also really hit an under during the game. You look at the last 3 for the Nets. They're scoring 65 in the first half, which is top 5 in the league. Then they're scoring the fewest points per game in the second half. As Kyrie and KD get a little tired, they're carrying such a huge load. And then the Hawks, you know, not great in that department either. They just got held to 48 in the second half. and they're 28th on the season in fourth quarter points per game, even worse on the road. So I think this will slow down. I think even if Trey does start to look a little good as the only point guard out there with no DeJounte, I think the Nets have the recipe to slow him down and basically stop Atlanta if it is a close game down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean that Boston and Brooklyn game was a very solid indication. That was just a few games ago after right before the Nets beat the Hornets. They lost to the Celtics 92-103 at home. Super indicative of the way that they're playing right now. That was a 230.5 total. Boston also, I should mention, fourth in their last 10 games in defensive rating. So they really picked up something that we were talking about them not doing well. But that's the exact same case for these Brooklyn Nets as well. 8th in defensive rating over the course of their last 10. You put that down to about their last 5, even better as Simmons has played a few more games over the course of their last 5, which they really need. Interestingly enough, their offense, I'm just going to bring up Watanabe just for a minute, because when he was in, it was another 3-point shooter that was super helpful for them for like a 3-game stretch. He's only played once in the last 10 games, and that offensive rating and that 3-point shooting has been indicative of not having him. Seth Curry getting better for sure, and they need him big time because I think that's going to be their basically third scorer at this point on this team. So for them to even get the points that they need, they're going to need some outside scoring from KD, and it's just not going to be the case in a game that as you mentioned, with Atlanta playing the way that they are on the road as of late. Especially, they were, like you said, a little bit better on the road on offense, especially shooting a little bit better, getting to the free throw line a little bit more. But the identity of this team was supposed to be what it's been, which is essentially emblematic of Trae Young, which is get to the free throw line or shoot open threes or create lobs for your teammates or create open threes for your teammates. And they're not shooting threes, and you can't win if you're going to shoot the amount of threes that they're shooting a game, to the tune of like second least in the league. This is a team that obviously, if Bogdan Bojanovic, just so you know, the one on the Hawks is Bogdan. If Bogdan had been playing, then obviously you would feel better about that as well, and that's going to be impacting their 3-point shooting. Red Velvet, Mr. Kevin Huerter not being around, also impacting their 3-point shooting. That's what happens when you sacrifice all those things for a better wing defender and a ball handler in Murray. And so, yeah, the only thing that you look at tonight that says maybe this is a game that opens up is Trae Young going off. But even if Trae Young is going off, who's coming with him? Like we haven't seen anybody put up the points. Even DeJounte to an extent, they're not scoring and they're not playing with efficiency on the road as well as at home in a way that makes you feel comfortable, betting on their totals to go over at any point in time. So 229.5 is still pretty high, like you said. I like that bet a lot. I just same concept. I just don't really want to put my money on Brooklyn to have to win a game by that many points when their margin for error on offense is so goddamn small, because the ways that they're scoring are just not efficient. It's 2-point mid-range, which, look, KD, every shot on the floor is efficient. The teams that are shooting from the mid-range and scoring from there, I'm not even going to make fun of them. It's the teams that do it every single year, in terms of the Bulls and the Nets and the Suns and the teams that have those guys to play from the mid-range. The Hawks are the same concept, though, and there's nobody on their team that is the same as KD, who's a tall guy that can shoot over people. So why are you the second? Why are you the team with the second highest amount of shots from the 2-point mid-range or points scored as well? Right, when you're the Hawks, so. Getting to the free throw line and getting threes, that's their MO, and they're not doing that right now, making them really easy to defend. If they're going to try to do it down in the paint, as you said, Brooklyn also defending the paint to the tune of the 4th best in the league. 4th fewest points in the paint that they're allowing as well. So just put the clamps on, do whatever you want with Trae. Even if he puts up 35 tonight, I don't care. I still don't think this Atlanta team is good enough to get close to 120, 115, as they haven't been doing that even when he is going off. So without DJM tonight, yeah, I think this is an easy opportunity to get a few more points or to feel good about maybe Brooklyn winning, but definitely the under.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I kind of feel the same way about the Nets. Like, even if KD gets 35 and Kyrie comes 30, that the team scoring is not going to be that high. I think there's kind of an interesting same-game parlay to take the over on Durant and the under for the game, because he's just going to be money in the mid-range. But this is not a video game where you can just go to Kevin Durant every time until the well dries up. Like, he's a human being who's going to be tired at some point, and you have to try to find points from another source. Although he did have 55 in the last time he was in this matchup in April, and then the time before that, like I'm saying, they shut down Atlanta 14 points in the fourth quarter. That was in Atlanta, back when Atlanta was a stark home run team, back when Atlanta had Huerter and John Collins spacing the floor for them, and when the Nets had freaking James Harden and LaMarcus Aldridge in their starting lineup, two of the worst defenders you can find out there. And now they actually have the best defensive lineup that's played at least 100 minutes. Read into it how you will. But Kyrie, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, KD, and Claxton have been shutting teams down. And Von's got some pieces to go to if he wants to. And then, you look at the Nets offense, like you're saying, it's a lot of mid-range. It's fourth worst paint points, fourth worst free throw attempts, and no offensive rebounds. So, yeah, I mean, you can let Trey get his and not worry about anybody else beating you. And that's what most teams have been doing. That's why Atlanta has gone under 6 of their last 9 here. And they just haven't been that threatening on offense as they have been in the past.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with all of that. Not too much more to add. Atlanta is wildly disappointing right now, and they're going to need to really bring it together without a bunch of guys in there that are important to them. 3 of their most 4 important guys in Collins, DJM, and DeAndre Hunter, you could argue. So at any rate, that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We're coming back to you each and every weekday this season. So until we see you next, happy betting.